Chat's on. We're on. I'm ready. I'm ready to rock and roll. Stand by. I got a light in here that I need to turn off. Stand by. All right. People are here. Hi, Keith. Hi, Lenny. And whoever else is here. Excuse me. All right. Still cold out. Yep. Another cold day. And I got me a cup of tea going here. I really laid off the coffee today early. Last night, I had a hard time getting to sleep. So, tea will do it. I don't have my Baker's Green Acres cup yet. She's saying, yeah, I got my ears lowered. This is my standard haircut. My standard GI haircut. How you doing, Inga? All right. Well, here we are. Thursday, 24 February. I think just about everybody that's here is probably having cold weather too. It's getting old, isn't it? It's going to warm up the end of next week. So I'm looking forward to it. You know, the thing that you have to remember this time of the year is it's going away. It's going away. It hasn't been a snowy winter here by any means. Not by any means.
I told them in the description that we swam today.
Oh yeah, I'm going to tell them all about it.
Cool. I think we would.
But it's been cold, cold and kind of overcast. Yeah, it's been, I don't know. Why complain? It's like, I think I was listening to Jack Spirko today. I wanted to find out what was going on with Ukraine. And he was talking about apathy. And he says, well, apathy is a good thing. We're always told that it's a bad thing. If you're apathetic about a situation, it's like you don't care. And he said, as far as Ukraine, he says, my family is from there, but I don't care, because you're not getting the whole story. And if you were getting the whole story, it really has nothing to do with you if you live here in Texas. It really doesn't. It's their thing. Let them worry about it. Hopefully the United States doesn't get involved. They probably will. But don't worry about it. So sort of like the weather, it's cold, it's overcast, but there's nothing I can do about it. So I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to press on and do what I can do, affect what I can affect. So if I spend a bunch of time worrying about Ukraine and Putin and all that stuff, then I'm not going to be spending time on what I'm supposed to do, what my job is, right? And it really, when I thought about it today, it kind of shaped up. It always is, the whole farm operation and the mentoring operation is always shaping up. I'm always getting a better understanding of what we're doing, and for, I'm still interested in what's going on in the world. I don't think I won't ever be interested in it. It's just that I'm actively saying to myself about something like Ukraine is, I don't care. Even though it's serious, but me caring doesn't do anything. You remember that movie Crocodile Dundee? Well, Crocodile Dundee is out in the wilds of Australia with that good-looking reporter babe, and she's saying to him, "Well, what's your opinion on the Aboriginal peoples?" And he says, "None of my business." And she's like, "I can't believe that you don't have an opinion." And he says, "Well, it's like two dogs. No, it's like," he says, "it's like two fleas fighting over the dog that they live on." You know, it I don't have any pull when it comes to Vladimir Putin or Sleepy Joe Biden, the potato in the White House. I don't have any pull. I mean, and we sort of watch it and try to armchair quarterback it, like, well, this is going to happen, and this is, and I'm guilty of it. I know, because it feels good to think that you know what's going to happen and feel like you got the inside poop. You know, well, I listened to Janine, and she knows what's going on because she's a mystic. But you know, it's fun. It's like this series that I'm watching on TV. It's fun. But if I don't get to watch it like I did last night, it didn't really affect my life, you know. So, but by the same token, if I'm able to let that go, what I wanted to talk tonight about, you know, I'll talk about anything you guys want to talk about. I don't have a big long thing to talk about, but and if we want to do questions or, you know, a little open line Thursday or whatever, I'm fine with that. Far as the connection last night, it went good nearly all the way through. We did have a couple picture issues where it blinked a couple times, but the sound was good. So that's cool. That's cool. And you see Rachel's picture there. Spring is coming. Isn't that nice? And we're saving all of these. We're getting pictures of all of these. So that's kind of nice. Rachel's a real trooper. And I have a little story about Rachel, too, that I love to tell. I'm going to love to tell. What I do want to talk about tonight was increasing our craftsmanship. Increasing. Like, we talk about fortifying our position all the time. And, you know, so it's easy for me to say that, fortify your position, as if like it's a machine gun position. And we're waiting, we're not shooting, and we could be waiting there days, weeks, never shoot. So what do you do while you're waiting? You fortify your position. So how do you do that? Well, if you're sitting on a machine gun position, okay, we're going to fill some sandbags. Let's say you're a flight line position and you're going to fortify it. What do? You know, you're going to disperse your assets, right? So you don't want anything too close together if in case an enemy aircraft comes by and does some strafing or something, you want your assets dispersed. So if they get this group of assets, you still have this group of assets over here that's usable. So I talk a lot about that in our homesteads, because our homesteads are not just our hobby steads. This is real life business. I didn't have a hobby steak for dinner tonight. It wasn't a hobby steak. It was a luscious steak off of the saddle of one of the cows that I knocked down recently, and it was almost there. I mean, it was nice. It can age a little bit more, but the fat was superb on it, and I got a nice full stomach right now. Eating beef is where it's at for me, honestly. And I'll talk to you about my diet too a little bit. I think we should talk about that. Because actually my diet is my way of fortifying my position, right? It really is. And I'm going to talk about that. But today, one day a week, Joe comes over, and Joe is doing a superb job. If you have not seen the videos that Joe's putting out, if you'll go to anyone can the anyone can farm experience, which is where you are right now, I guess. So um, the new video that came out today, I thought it was the best one yet. Just the best one yet. This kid is really talented and just a good, clean, nice guy. Doesn't speak with a heavy dialect or anything. Just a nice, clean guy. And we just had a good time today. He had in mind what we were going to do for our day in the life type videos, and he says, "Well, are you guys going to do your polar swim today?" And we were like, "Hey, we haven't been doing that for a while, you know." He says, "Well, will you? You know, just for a video because I want to include it in this video." Me and Jill are looking at each other like, "Are you kidding, man? It's 10 degrees outside, and plus the ice on the pool literally is 20 inches thick. Literally, that was 16. 16. I got a 16-inch bar on my chainsaw, and it was just barely hitting the water." So I said, "Well, what do you think?" And Jill said, "I guess so." So I'm in. I'm in. So we talked about what we were going to do. Had coffee, you know, it was nice, warm in the house by the wood stove. And then it was out the door to get ready for filming today, which before we went out, I watched the one that he released today. And you guys really need to look at that. It's really, really fun. It's really fun. We do a little pig castrating in there, and you know, he's got a way of flowing everything together, and it just gives you a flavor for what it's like to be here. You know, what it's like to live on a homestead that's, you know, that's been functioning for a little while. And I practice what I preach, and I'm not saying that we don't have bumps in the road, because we certainly do. I have to smack the kids in the line and Jill sometimes every now and then, but mostly things are going really smooth. And his videos are bringing that out very well, very well. So I encourage you to look at them and like them and share them. And honestly, I'm going to ask again at the end of the broadcast tonight, if you know somebody that you can share them with that is going to be able to help us grow Deadly Weapon Boys. I wonder what that's about. I don't think I've seen that. But if you can help us grow, I would highly appreciate that. I would really would. Just share them with, and it's a favor for me to help Joe on his way with his videographing career. So we did that, and then me and Jill went out and went in. You know, I cut a round hole that was about 5 feet in diameter, and we pushed that ice under the other ice. Pulled some of it out so you could see it, and you know, had to go out there, take my long johns off, and put my speedos on, and then out I went, and got in, and I was a little bit freaked out by the whole thing, as I've gone swimming in water that cold, I don't know, 100 times. You know, all the plunging that we did up until just after Christmas, right? And then we just, for some reason, just stopped doing it. I'm not sure why exactly. But then the ice on the pool was 6 inches thick, and it's like pretty hard to get through. You know, I mean, you can do it, but it's effort to get through it. And then it was a foot, and it's like, well, I don't know. It's a lot of energy put out just to go swimming in ice cold water. But today, I think that after going in today and coming back in, there was a very familiar feeling. And just a minute. Okay. had someone disturbing me that likes to disturb me. Anyway, there was a very familiar feeling that you get when you go in really cold water like that. And it's very pleasant, actually. I mean, there's a little bit of discomfort, and then there's like this panic reaction that you have. And when you see the video, because Joe videoed it, you'll see that it got the best of me today. It really did. But then I realized, hey, that water's no colder than the water in December. It's no colder. It's just that the ice is thicker. That's all. And I haven't done it in a couple months, so that had something to do with it. And it did kind of get the best of me. I lost my breath, so I don't know if that was apparent, but I was kind of like that. And I went under, and then I came up, and usually I'll sit there for a few minutes. Not today. I just climbed up on the ladder, and out I went in and stood by the wood stove. And then when I got there, I thought, that was no worse than it ever is, getting in ice cold water. It was okay. And so we went out later and looked and said, you know what, let's keep that open. Let's keep the ice open there so we can get in the water and do this. Because I tell you what, I had a great day. Told you, Monday and Tuesday, I was like bumping into things. I was just confused and dazed and just drooling and everything. No, not that bad. I just wasn't motivated. And, I couldn't, I mean, you wouldn't know it if you were here. It's just like in my mind, I'm assessing, am I having fun? Why am I doing this? It's cold out here. My feet are wet. And nothing went wrong. I mean, I did all my daily chores and stuff, and nothing went wrong. But it just wasn't the same. It wasn't fun. It wasn't like on point. Like, hey, this is going to be great. I'm gonna wait till we get that going. That's going to be really neat. And so today, we went out and we did some videotaping that was really fun. Just kind of day in the life stuff, and I think it's going to be really productive. And then we watched some of the videos that Joe had put up today that were really, really neat. And I went out, right before lunch, had a half an hour to wait. And I went out and I started on a project that I need to have finished before the class the weekend after next. I have to have it done. And I've been gonna do it. It's one of them things that I've been gonna do. And what this project is actually is we have an old cooler that I built a long time ago. And hey, Luann, how you doing? And Vindicti's with us. Right on. I've been gonna do this for a long time. Anyway, this cooler that we have, we use it for storage now, because then I got another cooler that I scrounged that was a commercial grade one, I guess, or it was a bought one is a better word. A lot of people use that here in the Midwest, a bought one. It was not one that I made. It was one that I bought, a bought one. And so this one's just been sitting there, but it's a nice little area, and we have a couple rails in there, and we've been hanging meat in there and using it for our hanging room. But it's sharing space with other things, and that's not how it's supposed to be. Your hanging room for things, like this and the nifty sausages that we have over there, it's almost like it should be like a sacred set aside place with air conditioning and soft lights, backlit type thing. It should be like a display. You're actually displaying what you're doing. And also it's a safe place, so you put a lot of effort into making a prosciutto, let's say. And then you just leave it laying on the kitchen table, laying on the counter, hanging in the garage. No, you want a hanging room. It's sort of like if you smoke cigars, where do you keep your cigars? Like in the desk drawer? No, you want a humidor. You want to do it with a little style, a little class. So when your friends come over, hey, I heard you make prosciutto. Is it good stuff? Oh yeah, it's nothing but the best. I would like to buy a leg of prosciutto. And then you say, well, there it is. It's on that rack underneath the toilet paper in the bathroom. Have at it. No, that's not how you do it. Presentation is everything. And plus safety. When we hang meats, we want to keep anything out of there. Any flying insects, any mice, anything like that. So the hanging room can be put together in such a way that all seams on any of the joints, anything, you fill it in with um, silicone. White silicone is what I used. And then the joints in between where the boards come together, you fill those. And then you go through and you paint the entire unit. Real thick paint, oil-based paint. I love oil-based paint. And you want it white, all right, so that you can see if it's clean or not, or maybe off, maybe just a little off white is what I'll do. But you want light to reflect around so you can actually see the stuff in there. It's sort of like a display case, but then you'll have a door on it with the ability to slide a window down so that you can vent air out of it. You want to vent moisture out, and then you'll have a window. You want to have a window there so you can look in, and then maybe a switch so you can turn a light on, make sure everything's okay in there. If you don't have to go in, you don't go in, right? And probably you'll have a thermometer near the window so you can see it, and you'll have a humidity gauge there so you can tell what the humidity is, because you want it about 60 degrees and 60% humidity, right? And a barometer. No, you don't need a barometer. Although that probably would be kind of fun, if you're taking readings and it's like, well, the barometer said. So I started working on that too. And I'm going to make some really good headway on that tomorrow. It's just a question. The cooler is probably 8x8, and I'm just going to cut it in half. So it'll be half. I'll be putting a petition in at 4 feet. And so we'll have like a hanging room that'll be about 8 feet tall, 8 feet wide, and about 4 feet deep. And that's really all we need for here. I've got several hundred pounds of dried meats that are curing, but during the charcuterie class, we'll be stuffing a whole bunch more sausage and probably hanging several more hams. We're always hanging hams because it is a good way to preserve calories. It's a really good way. It's easy. All you do is pack it with salt, and then wait until a certain percentage of the wet weight is gone because of it being in salt. The salt draws out a lot of the moisture, and then through osmosis, a lot of the salt gets drawn in to the ham itself, and that retards any kind of putrefaction. And you got a ham, and you can hang it like that for a long time if you need to. So I started working on that, and that was pretty good. And I have just decided I'm at the point now where I want to, instead of just ripping through stuff, so I can get to farming, I want to focus a little bit more on craftsmanship, because I'm actually a pretty good craftsman. It's just that I've put that on hold for a lot of years now. I have, because of the fast pacedness of farming. It's like, okay, you're finished laying down hay. Okay, You got to get it raked. Okay, you got to get it baled. Okay, you got to get it in before it rains. So it's like there's really no time to, oh, gee, that bale isn't quite as squared off as I'd like it. I think I'll do it over. It's like, just get it in the barn. It'll eat, So I do want to start taking some time for craftsmanship. It's my own personal thing that I want to do. I want my buildings to look better. I want my house to look better. I want it better for my wife. I want her to have a nicer place to live in and, more functional and better lit and things like that. So we did kind of start on that today. I took Joe for a tour of the wood shop. It's the carpenter's shop is what the sign on it says. And as I was in there, I said, I've made all these places to hang tools up. I've made all these shelves where I can put all my MSP, miscellaneous spare parts. And it really has helped because now we're organized. So when it comes time to do a job, I know right where the paints are. I know where the thinners are. Excuse me. I got nice hot tea here. It's not hot though. And so today, after Joe left, and we put in a pretty good day, I thought, I made this. And it's not done. You can see I've got a smudge over here in the red over here, and a smudge right near the T. I got a little hole I can look through. But I've wanted to do that. I want to identify the buildings that we have here and what goes on in them. I just like that. It looks professional, It looks like, like we mean to do this. It's not just, oh, that's the building where we cut up cows. It's just I want it to seem I think maybe it's a New England thing. I'm used to seeing buildings with placards on them that says what they are, or maybe it's the Air Force thing. Yeah, that could be it. But I like it. I think that came out pretty good. I'm not quite done with it, and then I'm going to polyurethane it, make it look nice, and I'm going to make one that says the maintenance shop, and I just like that. I when I go out and I'm in my environment and I see that I have taken time to do things well, I feel like, I wouldn't mind if my friends came over and saw this. I don't know. This is a pride. You're proud of it. Proud of the way it looks. If you've ever been here, I am real big on cleaning up. We're always cleaning up, and in the course of just general operations, you make messes. And it's something that I want to do is just keep cleaning up all the time and sharpening up the stick and making things better. So that's what I did today. I got something done, and I guess the point we were trying to get across in the video, and of course, the videos like Joe's videos, they're just shorts, but they have really good music in them and a lot of photographs and they're entertaining, very entertaining. And something like this, a show like this, people will watch it tomorrow and that's probably it. I don't think, well, maybe somebody will watch this again, but the videos that Joe is doing, those will be seen for years to come. And some of the videos that I made early on, like 5 years ago, they have an unbelievable amount of views. You just can't believe it. So it gets out there a few years and it just blows up because I don't know. It just does. So let's see, what was I going to say? what was I going to say? Okay, so that's what I did. I did this. We did that videoing today, and then I had lunch. I'd come in the house. I was working on this. Cold. It's nice to be able to just sit at the kitchen table and paint like that. Put my glasses on. Have I was listening to Jack Spirko, and I'm just painting. Very, very fun to do. Very entertaining. And then I get a phone call, and it's my daughter Rachel, the brand new driver. She's 16 years old. And she says, "Well, I failed to negotiate the turn at the bottom of our road, and my car's in the ditch." And I thought, just about the time I get my boots off and my heavy coat off, I got to go do the dad thing and get that car out of the ditch. And I wasn't angry at all because I've put two cars in that ditch and I've pulled two of my sons out of that ditch, same place. And I've seen other cars in that ditch too. It's if you ever come to my house and you're heading back out, when you go down Brinks Road towards west, there's a stop sign and it's glare ice there all the time and you slide right through it. There used to be a tree right there, but the tree got hit and broken off. And then somebody went down there and cut it off level with the ground, which is really nice because if it was up like maybe 6 inches off the ground, I think a car would go over it and then it would be stuck on it. And luckily that didn't happen. We got so much rain here the day before yesterday that there is, on top of the snow on the side of the roads, there is a half an inch of ice that you have to really boot it to get through. So if you walk off the road at all, it's treacherous. I have not fallen yet this year. Usually every year I fall and, fall on my hand or hit my elbow or something like that. That hasn't happened yet this year. So I'm being very cautious. I don't want to hurt myself, but I do take precautions. I might as well show you guys this. I didn't buy muck boots this year. I bought dry shod boots. Usually go through a pair of boots every year on the farm. And this year, instead of getting muck boots, I got these dry shod. And Dion and Amy said that muck boots are being made cheaper because they're been bought out by somebody that doesn't really care about the quality as much. So I've kind of noticed that, like my muck boots that I got last year, they were pretty well worn out by this year. And usually I have two pairs of boots going, but like my muck boots compared to these, there's no comparison. So I made a little modification on these. See these? These are panhead screws. See that? And you can tell one is missing right there. You see the hole, but it's come out. This is my second set of these screws that I've put in. It's how icy it's been this year. They get worn down a little bit, but they give you good traction on ice. And when you go into a store, they sound really cool. People don't know what you got on your shoes. So anyway, I went down there with the tractor and the chain, and we brought a bucket of ashes out of the wood stove, and we got her pulled out. It didn't look good because she was all the way down in the ditch. She went down and then turned to the side. And luckily, we were able to get a chain on the front end of that car, that BMW. If she were on flat ground and you put a chain under the bumper to the front end, you would be pulling against the bumper, and it's just plastic all the way across, and it wouldn't take it. They actually have a port that you're supposed to screw in a towing lug, and we don't have it. Didn't come with the car when we got it. So I went and got the one out of the Pilot, but it was a different screw. So we were lucky. It was sitting up at an angle, could get under it and could get a chain on it and then pull it down the ditch until there was a place where it was flat enough that Keith could drive it out. And we did get it out. We were very fortunate to get it out. I kind of looked at it and I thought that might be sitting there till tomorrow, until this, maybe even Wednesday, until the snow, until we get some warmer weather, because there was absolutely no traction on the road. It was like on being on an ice skating rink. It was that bad. So, we did it. Yeah, improvised cleats. You're living in Mansalona now? Back in Mansalona again. All right, Jack's back with us. Man, I thought maybe I irritated you or something. I saw that post today that you put up. You don't want anybody to send you anything by Ben Shapiro. Who else? A couple other people. Okay, I won't. But we haven't seen you on here in a while. Pair of golf cleats in the car. Yeah. Yeah. All right, Jack's back. Wow. Been a while, brother. We weren't talking about anything here. We were just talking about farming and stuff. We weren't talking about any politics or anything, because honestly, I'm a little apathetic, because I should be. If I were to tune in the mainstream media, they're yelling, "Oh, this is terrible. War in Ukraine. It's terrible. It's terrible. How's it going to affect us? Oh, better listen to Mr. Potato Head." Where if they're telling me I should look at it, I'm thinking probably I shouldn't look at it. They probably, they want me to get all wrapped around the axle about that. So I probably won't. I think I'm better off spending my time on, operations that truly affect me and my family. And if I get the chance to get involved with something, well, I don't know what it would be. I would, but I've in the past, I've spent a lot of time tracking what's going on and that. And if I'm truly optimistic, I mean, genuine optimism, I can just kind of unplug from it and then come over here and do this. And then when you go back, it's like, well, nothing really changed, any day now, things are going to, and it's just never really happens, and when it does, I'll hear about it. All right. I'll hear about it. I did hear Mr. Trudeau drop the Emergency War Powers Act, which I don't believe was ever really truly enacted. I don't think they did, but maybe they did. But it's been since dropped. So anything that happened during that time, any arrests or anything else, would all be null and void, I'm sure. So all those trucks that they towed out of there, they probably just went around to the back of the line. They towed everything out, so Ottawa is pretty well opened up. But all the trucks that were going into Ottawa from all those different directions, they're still there, as far as I know. So interesting times. I think a lot of this stuff is just going to happen, and what we need to do, honestly, is do as much preparation as we can, so that Luann, I was just listening on that. I was just listening to that with the woo-woo dude. Yeah, I was listening to that. I kind of like that crowd. I mean, they seem to be on it. And they're the only ones left on YouTube anymore. And I think that they're left alone because they're mystic, and people just don't kind of, the guy interprets his own dreams. Okay. Is that more valid than, say, Tucker Carlson? Well, Tucker Carlson's on Fox, so I think that's more, no. I mean, I gut check on it, and it's like he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Old Richard Woo Woo dude, and Janine she sounds like she knows what she's talking about. And Beyond Mystic with John Claude, they sound like they know what they're talking about to me. I recommend it just because when I see that, I go to it if I want to find out what's going on. But honestly, I got a lot done here today, and so I think that's what I want to really focus on is my mission, and let those guys take care of their mission. I think that's what I need to do. All right, so I'm out of things to talk about, Luann. I was talking about increasing our position strength, and one of the things that I want to do to increase my fortification of my property. And I don't mean really like I'm putting sandbags up or anything. I don't want to give the wrong idea. I just mean, to fortify my position. Like if my position is butchering pigs, and then I just, on my list of things that I need is, well, I need a scale, and I just got a new scale, so I check that, so that fortifies my position. And but I've felt recently like I want to fortify my position as far as my craftsmanship skills. So woodworking, believe it or not, my daughter-in-law and my son came across, she's a would-be sculptor or potter or ceramics person, right? She's really into it. She did it in high school, I guess, and really liked it. Was passionate about it, and she wanted to do something on the side. And so she got herself a wheel, and she got a kiln. And the other day they came across a guy in Cadillac that had plaster of Paris molds, and he had 1,500 of them. Everything from coffee cups to gnomes and everything in between. There's all kinds of stuff. You wouldn't believe it. And they're all high quality, plaster of Paris forms. Most of them are 2-piece or 3-piece, and they hold them together with a big elastic band. And you pour this pottery material in out of a jug, actually, and then you swish it around a couple times, and you wait a certain amount of time, and then you pour out the rest, and then you let it set up for several hours. And the plaster of Paris draws the moisture out of this. It's like clay, but it's really water clay. I don't know what they call it exactly. Jack probably does. And anyway, and then you take the form apart, and you've got a coffee cup, just like this. And it would be what they call green. And then you fire that, and then it's what they call bisque. And then you can paint it with glaze, or you can carve it, you can put designs on it, all that stuff. And then you fire it again in a kiln, and it comes out like this. Shiny porcelain, kind of. So she got 1,500 of them, and we already had, I don't know if you saw last night, Luann, or Vindicti wasn't with us last night either, but we some merchandise, some merch, and it's coffee cups. So it's coffee cups sort of like this, but it says Baker's Green Acres on it with our new logo, which is really, really nice. Really nice. Ceramic, yeah. But we will. Hey, there's a good one. We can do that. Actually, I can do that. So we will be having custom made coffee cups that it's sort of like a joint effort here. All right, Hildy's with us. Lone Star's with us. Where you been, Lone? Where you been? And Vindicti's with us. Right on. All right. Vindicti was here. I commented that I wanted shirts more than mugs. Oh, that's right. That's right. And we got some really nice pullover sweatshirts with the Baker's Green Acres logo and the Anyone Can Farm logo on them. Really nice. And I asked, well, what do you think these should go for? And everybody said $20, but they got them priced on the Baker's Green Acres at like 15, you know. So I don't think we actually make a whole lot off of it by the time the company that makes them and does all what they do, the printing and everything. But, you know, whatever. Everything that we make goes into the fund, the classroom fund, which, yeah, we haven't had a donate button. There's some sort of glitch that they're working on, you know. But anyway, you want a sweater and a travel mug. Okay, well, I guess you got to go to bakersgreenacres.com and we'll get it coming your way. I think your order of meat went out today, Brittany, by the way. I think I'm detecting some foul language here from the Lone Star. Working on the ranch, trying to get some stuff done before Biden makes my diesel needs $5 a gallon. I got an idea. We need to start making our own fuel. We can make it out of garbage, actually. We can. Tractor fuel. Yeah, I think could go up. All right, well, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. I think fuel is going to go up. It is going to go up. So if you have storage tanks, now is the time to top them off. I got tanks, and I looked at them today, and they're both at half. So I am going to make a phone call and get them topped off before diesel fuel goes crazy. And I think it is. I think it's going to happen. All right. But I am still optimistic. I think that, this guy that Luann recommended, he's just a guy. He's kind of a mystic, and he has dreams, and he has, what he calls a spirit comes to him and tells him stuff. And then he passes it on. The thing is, he's very accurate in what he says is about to happen and going to happen. And he said that everything that's going on right now is an effort to expose the roots of this evil tree that we have all been brought up under. I mean, for us, when we find out, a politician is corrupt, you're like, I can't believe that, you could have knocked me over with a feather. No, when we find that a politician is not corrupt, that is a real, you almost think, yeah, right, sure, puts on a good act, but they have, there's not a lot of integrity going on in the political world, which is happening because of a lack of integrity throughout. You have a lot of payoffs happening and things like that. And I feel this is what we are a part of, right? We're a part of focusing on positive things and creating our own world that is a decent world to live in, right? Instead of allowing the criminals to run the show. It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. Oh, I got a puppy around my feet. That's what that is. Freaked me out for a minute. We have a puppy here now, by the way, a Great Pyrenees puppy, and we have another one coming in about a month, and it'll be the new breeding pair. Obi and Claire will still be here, but Obi's out of action. He just not that interested anymore. Not enough. He doesn't have enough interest. to get her done. And Claire got run over when she was 4 months old. And I think her injuries are kind of coming back to haunt her now. And she does not hold him up. And I think that's part of the problem. But anyway. Okay, Abundant Life is saying, we're working to get the items back up. They were there last night, and then Lorna realized the shipping wasn't right and that you'd have paid too much. The sweatshirts and T-shirts will be back soon. Okay, so Lorna is a real person, and she's working the back end of it as quickly as she can. So appreciate Lorna for doing that. Let's see, what did I see here? Saw a question back here. Let me go back to it. Okay. Brendan O'Connell has an interesting take on what's going on. I did just sub to Janine upon your request, and she is certainly interesting too. Well, I'm glad you find her interesting. I know that a lot of people in my circle sort of would say, oh, tarot cards. I actually had somebody say this to me. I have no tolerance for evil. No tolerance for evil. And apparently tarot cards are evil. But I know some people that think playing cards are evil too. I don't know. I think it's evil if you give it the power to be evil. Okay. Luann and Mark, I sent you some true good stuff about the current situation. It's not what one thinks at all. Yeah, I was listening to that, Luann. And I'm going to finish it off. Jack, maybe you'd like it too. Luann, do you send stuff to Jack? He's pretty touchy. Don't send him any Ben Shapiro or who else doesn't he like? Steven Crowder. I can't stand. I like it when he's making fun of people that I don't like. Then he's kind of fun. But that show with all those people, I don't like it. I thought I saw a question. Okay. When you have giant balls, you call the afford hyper shrinkflation that comes with February water temps. Oh, I see what you mean. No, not me, man. Not affected. Not affected. Oh, yeah. Okay. Brittany says, I love you. Hey, Jonathan, did you see this? You got a problem there. So do you, Jill. Brittany's saying, I love you. And then she says, deadly weapons. So here she's talking about deadly weapons, and Vindicti's talking about deadly weapons down here and hyper shrinkflation and stuff. I don't know. All right. No, she was saying, I love your deadly weapons, because in the video today, I said, I have another weapon, and the weapon is like, the mission is you have all these 40-pound pigs, and they're in this half-acre pen. How do you catch them? That's the mission. So I was saying, well, we've got this pen that we made, and it's got a trick door on it. So when they come through it, I can just pull a latch, the door falls down and locks, and I got them. And then I said, another deadly weapon is boys. And my 10-year-old and my 12-year-old, they know what to do. I'll snap my fingers, boom, they're in there grabbing those pigs. And so I called them my deadly weapons. That's what she was talking about. Jonathan says, $96 to fill the Suburban today. Yep. Oof. Oh, okay. This is interesting. Welcome, Banjo Bear. We have other bears that come by now and again. Well, that's good. That's good. Jack turned me on to Owen Benjamin, and then I turned my son onto him, and he turned his whole firehouse onto him. So now they're all Owen Benjamin freaks. They're fire bears and everything else. Yeah, Banjo Bear. And anybody that really follows Owen Benjamin hardcore, they give themselves the name. Like I would be Homesteader Bear, or I would be Stud Missile Bear, or probably Hitman Bear. That's what I would be. That's what I would be. I got the nickname when I was in the Air Force from the deputy wing commander. There was an incident, and I engaged on it, and I won't go into the details, but he was talking to my boss, and he said, "Your guy there, Hitman." And then my boss said, "You know what he called you?" And this is the deputy wing commander, so he's the second highest guy running the show on a base, and this was a big base, big missile base, and so it was a big deal. And he called me Hitman. So inside my baseball cap from then on, I always wrote Hitman, and I still write it in my caps that I wear around here, my baseball hats. I don't have one to show you, but that's my handle, Hitman. Jack's saying I watch the reruns when I can't be here. All right. All right. Been working on leveling my shop floor and building shelves to get all my stuff off the ground. All right. You're fortifying your position then. That's good. Right on. I'll check out Brandon O'Connell. Brandon O'Connell. Yeah. You know, this is a desk, and I do a lot of things here. But pens, you won't find pens. You won't even find them at my any place in the house. You cannot find pens around here. They just disappear. There was a box of pens because I freaked out one time. My wife bought a box, literally a box of pens, put them right there on the desk. They're gone. Literally gone. And so somebody had to move them. So somebody did it. Okay. Lone Star wants, let's go, Brandon. Okay. Let's go, Brandon. Hildy's with us. Right on. I was over in your neck of the woods last weekend, Hildy. I went over to Wisconsin, or Wisconsin, as they call it there. Wow, what an accent the people that tremendous accent they had. Wisconsin. Distill alcohol. You know what? That's not a bad idea, actually, to build a still to use for fuel. That's not a bad idea. It's actually a pretty darn good idea, because if you learn, you can use, you can make alcohol out of a lot of things, and you know, then use it as fuel. There is another option out there, and I learned a little bit about this when I was out at Sean's place in Texas. He's got a digester, and you can tell it was crude, made in Israel, and you know, you could put like 15 flushes into it a day, and it would produce enough cooking fuel, cooking gas for about a day. You know, so it wasn't built very efficiently. It was actually like a bag, you know, and the manure and whatever other carbon you put in, you put it in through a port on the side, and it was okay. It was okay. But then I started doing some research on digesters. I used to have an old book around here that had a picture of one, a schematic drawing of one. And I always thought, wow, I got to try that someday, especially if you have a farm and you're generating a lot of manure. And I'm also generating a lot of feathers. I generate a ton of feathers, and some of them go in the compost pile. And, I've always thought, well, there's got to be something better to do with these. And possibly the digester could be a better way. So what it basically is, it's a lot like your septic tank. So you flush the toilet, and everything that was in the toilet goes out through this tube, and it goes into a tank, and it falls in the tank, and the tank just sits there. And then on the bottom of the tank, there's a high concentration of bacteria. And on the top, there's bacteria throughout. It's different strata of different bacteria, right? And so when a turd flies in there, the bacteria say lunch, and they're all taking a bite out of it as it's sinking down to the bottom. They're all getting fat on that turd, and then they're manuring out, sludge, which is stabilized turd, I guess. But if you picked up sludge in your hand and you looked at it, it would look like muck dirt. You ever hear of muck? That's southern part of Michigan. There's places where it's, muck fields. Oh, they own a muck field. And if you own a muck field, they grow produce in those fields like you would not believe. It's just so much nutrient built up over centuries, I guess. And they figured that was probably underwater at some time. But anyway, the byproduct of that process is methane. So whether you know it or not, your septic tank is creating methane, and then we just vent it into the atmosphere. We don't use it. We just let it go. It's sort of like, you hear a lot about global warming caused by cows farting. Well, it's kind of hard to reclaim cow farts. I guess. I mean, I suppose you could build an apparatus where you have a tank on their back, and then you have a tube that comes around. I don't know. Because whatever. It was just a hypothetical. But if we built a tank system that we could load daily or every other day with a concoction of browns, greens, and manures, like you wouldn't have greens in the wintertime, but you could put straw in, you could put feathers in, you could put, I think you could probably put the hair off of a mangalitsa in there. I know you could put blood in it. We did that out in Texas at Sean's place. We poured blood in it. All that when we have an event here and we have 20, 25 people here or 100 people here, there's a tremendous amount of manure and toilet paper and other things. And if we were to collect that instead of paying somebody to bring, you could just make a lot of methane, I think. And then the methane has to go through some scrubbers to get cleaned up. And then you can compress it into propane cylinders or acetylene cylinders or whatever. Probably propane cylinders. Wouldn't be extremely high pressure. And you've got that gas set aside. Now, with that gas, what can you do with it? Can you do everything with that gas that you can with propane? I don't know. And I looked around for that data, and I really couldn't find it. Usually they talk about cooking with that type of gas, and they call it biogas. But let's say you had one of those things and you operate it in the summer months, because it has to be warm. It probably wouldn't work up here unless you made enough biogas to where you had it in a small room like this that you could keep at 70 degrees. And you could do that with the gas. and actually the vessel that this composting action is happening in is causing heat, right? So the vessel itself makes heat. So if it was in a well-insulated room, I think you could operate it in the wintertime. And let's just say that you had a system of, let's say, one of those things that you run branches through, a yard grinder or a chipper shredder, and you were loading things through there just to chip them up and then putting them into the biodigester. I don't know. I have to build one though. I really have to build out there. You can build some pretty neat ones, and I would bet that built one out of a 55-gallon plastic drum, and you did everything that you have to do to make the loading port and the gas is going to be lighter than air, so it's going to go to the top. And then the system to compress the gas and scrub the gas and all. If you were able to do that, I would be quite sure that you could scale it up. And if you scaled it up 10 times and you had a 500-gallon tank, I mean, you could probably make a lot of gas. I don't know. It's something I got to check into. I listened to a bunch of podcasts on my way back, but they were highly suspect because some of them came out of universities. And universities are not going to turn farmers onto this whole system where they could be independent of the propane company or independent of, the oil company so they could heat their house and that. That's not what they do. Okay. We signed up for this time in the part of the transformation team. Oh, okay. Luann is agreeing with me, and she's saying we signed up for this time and are part of the transformation team. I agree with you. I agree with you. Would you rather run an 80-acre farm and work 8 or 10 hours a day and really enjoy what you do and get to exercise your creativity and get to stop when you want to and talk with people that you enjoy, and it's like it can be a low stress life. I make it more stressful than it has to be because I think I have a need for that. Would you rather do that, or would you rather punch a time clock, and you're in a high stress cubicle environment with a bunch of other highly educated people that are disgruntled with what they have going and have a lot of money to pay back for the education that they got? I think the new way that we're going, I don't think it. I know it because I know people that have made the decision to jump out. There's one of them right there. Had a high paying Ford Motor Company and said, nope, no more of this. I want to live my life. I don't want, weenies breathing down my neck all the time. How you doing, Lorna? Okay. All right. Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, Project Veritas, and that dip that helped write 21. Which one was that? Project Veritas. I didn't know you had a big problem with them. I'm trying to think, what could that be? They were never really a big influencer of me. Not so much. Okay, Vindicti's got a good theory here. Maybe Jane is a top-level intelligent agent using tarot to softly disclose what she knows. Could be. That could be. Although, I don't care. You know, it's like fighting over, like two fleas fighting over the dog that they live on. None of my business. Yeah, that's my Crocodile Dundee. Oh, Luann, be careful there. Be careful. You're gonna put Jack on the warpath. I take Owen with a grain of salt, but he is funny. Shout out to my fellow bears and anyone else in Beartaria. Vindicti, you are Math Fizz Bear. Find me on Beartaria. All right. I should be Hitman Bear, I think. Project Veritas for sure, Jack. Oh, okay. Well, all right. Brendan O'Connell. Oh, no, this bothers me. Luann, Vindicti, Janine works for the top brass for sure. Are you pulling my leg? I'm sure you are, right? Okay, Jack saying Owen has a good show up today about the Russia debacle. I bet. So did Jack Spirko. It was really good. I thought Jack really laid it out really well. I wonder, Jack, how you feel about Jack Spirko. Jack Russum, how do you feel about Jack Spirko? Justin Z, welcome. The crazy global warming people claim cow farts are a major factor in global warming. They now eat salads. Humanure. That was a book I read years ago. They are all gatekeepers. Yeah. I agree. I agree. But don't you, like, when you have a gatekeeper and they bring up the subject that they're to talk about, and then they send you in a direction with that subject, that can be beneficial too. It can be. Yeah. I don't know. All right. Well, I'm over. I'm at 9:14. Oh, okay. Okay. Humanness, top brass equals spirit equals God. I get you. I get you. Yeah, Janine doesn't seem like she's, anti-Christian, God of the Bible at all. She doesn't. And a lot of times those types will, they say, oh, that's all, she seems to be one of these like, well, it's all inclusive, sort of like American Indians where they say the Great Spirit and they say, well, yeah, that's God, Yahweh, that's whoever, gatekeepers, but Owen seems organic for sure. Yeah. I wonder if I could cross pollinate with Owen. He seems like he could use some help with his homestead. Another one that I'd like to cross pollinate with is, you guys may have heard the interview that I did with him just about a month ago, was Sean Baker at Revero. It used to be the Meat RX. Oh, yeah. And I was going to tell you about my diet too. Well, anyway, I'd like to cross pollinate with him because what I am noticing now is if a person, and I found this out down in Texas, it is if a person is a nomad and they go about their nomad lifestyle, the next step from nomad lifestyle is actually homesteading. And I had a guy tell me that, and I've talked it over with Joe quite a bit, and I even talked to you guys about a work camp program that we're working on right now, and probably going to execute this summer. Got a little chilly in here, but the carnivore people, uh, their next step is actually homesteading as well. And when I did that interview with Sean, he said to me, "Well, I don't suppose I could do anything as far as cattle goes on, like 5 acres, could I?" And I was like, "You do it on 1 acre. You can raise beef on 1 acre. You don't need a ton of space. You're going to be buying your own feed, but hay's cheap, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's probably not optimum. I mean, you're not going to be grass fed, but some people would argue that because they would say that hay, once the cow eats the hay and then they drink the water, they rehydrate it, and that's grass. That's what people will say. I don't know. It seems like when I eat grass, it is way different, and my body can do things with it. When I eat hay, I don't think I can do anything with that. But anyway, that's probably a different discussion. But I think the next step for a carnivore is the homestead. So that's why I would like to cross-pollinate with Sean Baker and possibly do some consulting with him, and kind of open his people up to our group and inform them that, hey, you can raise your own beef. You can definitely raise your own beef, and you can even process your own beef. If you're going to eat it and it's that beneficial to your health, why wouldn't you make the sacrifice to learn how to do that and then to execute it? Why wouldn't you do that? And I'm going to cross-pollinate with Jack Spirko. We've got an open door in there. Joe is just waiting because he wants to build up our arsenal of material in the Anyone Can Farm Experience website. He wants to have that set up and running. So if a guy like Jack Spirko, if I go on his show, and he knows who I am from the pig thing way back. He mentioned me on his show, and I just wasn't really into doing interviews back then, and I just never pursued it. But I am going to go on his show and talk with him and tell him how it turned out and the lessons that we learned about farming and contract law and all of these parasite organizations. We learned a lot about that. And it's not just theory in my mind. I mean, because I got to hit the press test button and I know that it works, right? And so that puts you in a unique position. You can say, well, I believe that the Second Amendment gives me the right to own and bear arms, but I don't know. I've never really put it to the test. Well, in my case, it wasn't the Second Amendment, but it was the Fifth Amendment and the Fifth Amendment and the First Amendment that I hit the press to test button on, up against, some pretty powerful organizations, or the perception is that they're powerful. Their perception that they, or my perception of what they say that they are, you would think that they're powerful, and perception is everything, right? But when you perceive them as parasitic and low life, they really don't, I don't know. I don't see them as even legitimate, really. Who asked you to oversee what the workers, us, the people who own this country, who asked you to oversee what we do? We certainly didn't. We are free people, and we don't like to be overseen, by the way. So go to hell, But anyway, yeah, so I'd have a lot to talk with old Jack about. And I think that's good. We want to start doing that. We want to start bringing in people from these other communities. I don't know what you would call Jack's community. Well, it's the survival podcast. So he was probably prepper, survivalist type. Yeah, we want to cross-pollinate with those people because our message to them is, it's good to have a pallet of string beans. canned string beans. That's a good thing. They're eventually going to grow. They're eventually going to run out. And so what? You have 2 of them. You have 20 of them. You have a warehouse full of them. Can you protect it? Or is it better to have a situation where you can continually produce them? Well, it's just me and the wife need string beans. So we'll only do 1 row. Oh, I got, all my in-laws staying with me and a bunch of cousins. And okay, well, you guys are all going to be out there on the end of a hoe because we got to produce more, right? So I like that. I like that scenario better, that we are if we're preppers and we are homesteaders, we're prepsteaders. I like that. That makes sense. Now, you don't have to be a prepper if you don't want to, but as a homesteader, you're always preparing for the next season and other things. You're always preparing. So you actually are a prepper, but a lot of times preppers can be, hoarders of food and, the latest build on an AR-15 rifle, which, what do you think? I don't know. I think the gun thing is, some of them go a little too far, I think. There is a guy that I listen to occasionally called Canadian Prepper. He's pretty good. All right. We have a friend who finishes steers on about half an acre paddock with a big grain hopper free access feed system. Yeah, that's they call it free choice. And he's got to have them on hay as well. He's got to have them on hay. Vindicti says, I've name dropped Scott Mandelker. He does Christianity, tarot, Buddhism, Hinduism, Daoism, etc. Name dropped him. Named my name with him? Oh. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what you mean. But if you guys want to help cross-pollinate some of these with some of these people, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I'd love to talk to Owen. I think it'd be a kick. There are some that I would turn away. Yeah, there are some. Our mission really isn't our bottom line. That is not it. I mean, that's a component, and all of you too, in a farming business, your bottom line is a component of what you're doing. It's a component. It's not the be all and the end all. There are things that at certain times are way more important than that. And quality of life for me and Jill is like way more important than how many dollars we have in the bank or how much I have at my wallet or whatever. If you have enough or a little less than enough, usually that's a pretty good place to be, I think. I mean, that's where I've been. I've never had like this massive surplus of funds, but I've always had enough, I feel like you go to other countries, and I have been to a bunch of them, and I have something in my pocket that could feed that man's family for a year, right? And I feel like, wow. I was in Bolivia, and I had a Leatherman on my belt. I was down there doing some work, and there was this Bolivian man that was helping us, kind of an advisor, and he got the nerve up. I could see he wanted to look at. I handed him my Leatherman for something to do something, and I could see him looking at that, and I just knew, like, he didn't have anything. He wore the same clothes every single day, same shoes or flip-flops every single day. He didn't have anything. And then one day he said, will you sell this to me? And it wasn't mine, right? It had been issued to me by the United States of America. And I said, I really can't. It's not mine. And it was sort of like I wasn't going to sell him something that wasn't mine. But, we lose equipment all the time. And then after a couple of days, I just said, I want you to have this. I want you to have this. And I left it with him, and the guy could have fed his family for a year on that dumb Leatherman that here in the States is $75 or $80 now. And it was the same one that I have on my belt right now. Like when I got off active duty, I had to turn that stuff in. And I had extras, and I turned some of them in, but I had extras. And one of them was like this, and I broke it. It was a broken one, and I sent it back, and they sent me a new one. And then that one has broken. This is a replacement again. Brand new. I just got this a couple weeks ago. And I have another one too that is someplace around the farm, and it's broken. And I'm going to send that back. So I'll have two serviceable ones, which is really good. I feel pretty good about that. I'd go any place without a Leatherman on my belt. No, I don't do it. I've tried. Like I'm going someplace and it's, like a nice affair, and you don't want to have a Leatherman hanging on your belt, and I'll go without it, and just like within a very short time, something will happen. Like the buttons on your door in your car, they've got that screw-on thing, and it's like zip, pull it off, and then you can't reach it. Oh, if I just had my Leatherman on me, I could just reach down in there and pull that up. But I don't have my Leatherman. That's it. I'm never not taking my Leatherman with me ever again. I'm always taking it. Okay, well, sign me up for that program, Mark. I'm in for it. All right. I think I explained it to this group pretty well, but what it comes down to is you camp for free, but you throw down and agree to work in the homestead environment for, X amount of hours, probably like 6 a day. And if you can't, you can't. But I mean, you start out with a crew in the morning, and the crew leader would be me or one of my kids or one of the people that has been here before and learned how to do something. And, it opens up so much to the farm because we don't have time to be planting trees all the time, but now we can continually plant trees. We don't have time to continually build fences, but now we can. And putting in campsites, that takes labor, but we will have labor. And so you're in the homestead environment, especially for nomads, because they take their house with them. And the reason we want to offer it is because of our mission is to inspire and empower and educate. So there you go. I guess if people were staying, just camping, and they don't want to help, well, then pay $40 a night. That's all right. We can put the money to good use. But $40, I mean, there is value there, but I could hire a craftsman, and they're going to want about $40 an hour to come here with their, truck and their tools. That's for an hour. I get an hour out of that. And then by the time they've checked their phone messages and everything else, and you have to make up the rest for an 8-hour day, you don't get a whole lot. You really don't. Those guys don't work real quick. Their idea is to spend as much time on job site as they can. They're not all the same. But we did hire some guys. I tell you, a few years ago, we hired some guys to work at the house next door. I had a list of jobs that needed to be done. And I actually was hiring just one guy, and I hired him personally. And I figured when he got there, I'd say, okay, here's the list. Give me an estimate of how much you want to do this. And he brought his partner with him, and they said, oh, no, we get $25 an hour. Huh. And I should have said, I'm not paying $25 an hour. I will pay you flat rate. You give me an estimate on these jobs. And then if you want to take 10 years to get it done, I don't care. But I'm not going to pay you for the time that you are yakking with each other or looking at your phones or have to go to the dentist or whatever. I don't want to do that. And that was a huge, huge mistake because we put out a lot of money for the work that those guys did. It was okay work. I mean, it was okay, but I wouldn't do that again. I wouldn't do that again. I mean, if I'm going to hire a guy hourly, then that's that. But I don't like to do that. Ooh, what's this? We have a friend who finished. Okay, I'm late, but hit that thumbs up. Thanks, Andy. Thanks. Survival Life on Facebook, if anybody's interested. All right. Again, I don't have a pen to write down any of this stuff. Huh. That is amazing. It's just amazing. I have a knife. I could poke myself and bleed. Abundance is a state of mind. That's true. Yep. Oh, and Lone left us. And Jack. All right. I'm going to get going to 9:30. It was a pleasure chatting with all you fine folks. We will see you tomorrow night for Open Line. If you guys have stuff that you want to talk about tomorrow night, get it written down. I still have one seat available. I have one seat available for the charcuterie class coming up in March. One. That's a 2-day class, Saturday and Sunday, and you will be learning how to make all kinds of stuff like this: dried sausage, ham, bacon, all that stuff. If you are not interested, please share it with somebody that might. I would really like that class to be full. And if you would please do me a solid and spread Joe's videos around. I would really appreciate that. If you know somebody that you can send it to, like an Owen Benjamin, I would like that. I would consider that a real favor. Jack's already gone. He's probably the one that knows Owen. No, Owen lives in Idaho. Aloha.